This is your book. You put it into the hands of whomever you want to put this book in their hands. And it doesn't have to be people who are living right and who are following you the way that other people think that they should.
Hey there, this is Patrice Washington, and you're listening to the Purpose to Platform podcast, where we share stories of women who are using their God-given gifts to chase purpose and create influence, impact, and income with integrity. In today's episode, we're talking about what it truly takes to step into purpose. And I am so excited to share the stories of these incredible women as they tell you in their own words how they've been able to overcome what life throws at us many times and actually walk in purpose. Now, this is our last episode of the season. I know it went by so quickly, but I know that I'm leaving you with so much encouragement because it's nothing like hearing it from the women themselves. So one thing that you have to know about pursuing purpose is that no matter who you are, you will be met with resistance. Listen in to Evelyn as she shares her story.
All right, I have one. So, but it started with all I kept hearing was you saying, expect the resistance. So I was supposed to do a live with Marsha Ann on IG on Wednesday. And, just like my asthma had been acting up, I was just feeling horrible. But anyway, before the live, I went to double check my website, make sure everything is up clear. So if we directed anybody there, it'd be fine. And the website was shut down, totally gone, giving me an error message. So I'm freaking out. I'm on the phone with GoDaddy. They're telling me, we don't host your website. And I was like, I've been paying you every month for 2 years. Of course you host my website. So then I'm on the phone with them and messaging my old web developer. So it was a little bit awkward, but it turns out somebody had actually been hacking my account and they were claiming the domain as their own. And they had gotten as far as to transfer my host from GoDaddy to a separate host. So it took 24 hours, but they were able to block the hack, reclaim the domain, and put it back on GoDaddy. It was a disaster. And then I get on with Marsha Ann. I felt like everything went so well. I felt like I literally felt like a change in my body, in my presence. I remember doing a live with Dr. LaToya Wiggins in August where I kept saying to myself, I wanted to say the right things. But this time it just felt so different. Normally I'm uncomfortable, but I was just something hit me and just said, they're here to learn. They want to hear what I have to say, just do it. And it was so good. And then right after we hung up the call, Marsha Ann lost all power. So she had no power for the night. But so anyway, that was my breakthrough. I had this huge resistance and then everything went beautifully and I felt so much more confident.
What I love about Evelyn's story is that she allowed herself to face the resistance head on and keep going. And what many people do and what blocks them from being able to truly walk in their purpose is that when resistance comes, they run. Instead of standing tall, standing strong, and being clear that their purpose is not up for negotiation, that there are still people who need to be served and there's still work to be done. And I tell the ladies in Purpose to Platform all the time that as you get clarity around what you are called to do, you should expect resistance. Greatness requires us to expect that there will be distractions, there will be annoyances, there will be folks who don't understand boundaries. There are so many things that can happen or come up that will prevent many people from being able to push through and do this thing that they truly say they want to do. And I know for myself, even before building the brand that is now known as Redefining Wealth, like Evelyn, I had my own experience with resistance. I had my site hacked as well. And as a matter of fact, my hosting company said it was the worst hack they had ever seen in the history of working with people through those types of issues. I mean, I remember the day that I sat there on the phone for hours with the hosting company, and the gentleman said, "You strike me as a very nice woman, but what did you do or who did you tick off? Because we've never seen anything like this." And I remember having the first thought being, I want to go ball up and curl up and get in bed and just say, my grace has run out for the day. But I recognized that this must mean that I was on to something greater and that I would have to just deal with it, learn the lesson, and move forward. And what was on the other side of my site being hacked and all of the many blog posts and products and programs that I had created over the years all disappeared overnight. That was income that disappeared overnight. I went through my routine for dealing with resistance. I got still, I prayed, I talked to some good friends who could keep me off the ledge, and I got back to the drawing board. Once I realized that that site was never coming back, I understood that while the plan might have to change, my purpose has not. Stepping into purpose also requires us to walk with confidence and understand that we are who we say we are and that we have value beyond measure. Here's Dionne's story.
I gotta tell you this one. This one is, you know how I'm always like, I don't know. This one, I was so proud of me, and it's because of all of you ladies. I had a meeting with a customer, so I had to look professional, and I had my mask and all of that. And this was the lady, when I told you that ordered the 1,000 pieces, she was in town. I've never met her before. I only met the guy who works in the satellite office. So, I'm so nervous. So she sent me an email and she said, "Are you able to meet with me?" I'm like, "Of course, I gotta say yes." So I switched everything around and I met with her and she said, "Well, how do you feel about the 1,000 pieces?" So I said, "I'm a little concerned that I may have to order another bolt." I said, "Because they don't let you order just by yardage." I said, "And if I order another bolt, because I'll be short on this order, that's gonna leave me with a surplus of almost 700 to 800 pieces of fabric. And I just want to discuss, I don't want to be stuck with that if nothing goes further. And can we just," and I'm nervous now, but I was trying to sound cool with her, like, just can we talk about what's going to happen with that overage? And she thought about it, and because all I was hoping for was just a contract to say that she would use it up.
Yeah.
When I brought that up, she said, "Oh, no problem. Why don't you just invoice me and I will buy it in advance."
Come on, Jesus. Come on. Come on.
This is a P2P. Ladies, when I tell you that I was like, I couldn't believe that I even asked her that, because the old Dionne would have just said, "Oh my God, please, let me have the money to buy this and let me have enough." And then I guess I was smelling myself, as my grandmother said. She said, and I said, "Well, can we talk about projections for next year?" And she says, "Well, now that you mention it, I'm going to need 200 in March and that 1,000 piece order, because they mismanage it, which is why you got 1,000. You know how we usually do 500 with you? Well, consider that probably somewhere between a sum." I'm like, "Okay, well, I have this down. I'll put the team in place." When I tell you I acted like a grown-up, man.
You better go, Dionne.
Let's go, Dionne!
Okay, Dionne.
I acted like a grown-up.
Dionne,
Let's
look
go!
Yes,
at Dionne.
Dionne.
Yes.
Go,
The room,
Dionne, go.
with the win.
Yes!
I can dig it,
Go!
Dionne.
Get it.
Go!
Get it, Dionne. Get it.
Yes!
I could not
I'm
wait
proud
to
of
tell you
you.
this. I was that lady, and then because it's the first time her meeting me, and okay, I'm not gonna ruin this moment. I'm gonna stay high. I am always concerned about when they see me, my look and stuff. I'm like, no, because as I put in that email, Brittany got a hold of me and Courage got a hold of me, and I just said, my look is fine. I'm going to be okay. I'm gonna put on my makeup. Because of what you pour in me and my Marsha Ann and everybody, I mean, Candace Vernell, and I mean, I can't even mention all you ladies' names, so everybody, Dr. Vernell, Dr. Ann, everybody. What you pour in it found somewhere along the line, it hit me in like the last week, which is why I put that email out there, because I really did. I walked into the room and I said, I have P2P and I have God behind me and I can sew. Like, I can't do nothing else. I may not like the way I look, anything else, but I can sew.
I love how Dionne ended with, if I could do nothing else, I know how to sew. And that is the very confidence that we each need to have in our unique gifts and skills and talents. I've been saying this for so many years, but I do believe that each and every one of us is born with a gift that is so valuable, yet so many of us dismiss it. When you dismiss the very gift, the very talent, the very skill that God gave you freely to produce wealth, you're dimming your light, and that is the opposite of walking in confidence. And what I love also about Dionne's story is that she credits the community. Sometimes we can't muster up that confidence on our own. Sometimes we have told ourselves so many stories or have allowed other people to tell us stories about why our gifts don't matter or why our gifts are not valued in the marketplace, or plant seeds that say, who are you to do this thing, to go after that contract, to get on that stage, to publish that podcast? And every single one of us, especially as women, we need those cheerleaders in the background who will say, you have everything that you need in order to have everything that has been destined for you. But sometimes it takes outside forces to help us build that confidence. And that's what I love so much about this community, that in order to keep stepping into purpose, we cheer each other on and help each other build confidence every single day. If you get caught up in what society tells you to do, it'll tell you to mismanage your priorities, to put the things that you know to be important on the back burner so that you can chase money and so that you can chase deals. I want you to listen to what happened when Irene stayed in alignment.
I would just like to say thanks to this group. It just has really made me grow so much. I've been a realtor for years, but I've been had my broker license for 2 years. And I had someone to call me when I was in Florida with my husband. He's a double lung transplant patient, and I have to take care of him also. And she told me that she wanted me to sell her a house. And I was like, well, I'm out of town right now, and I'm going to be gone for like 2-3 weeks. I don't know when I'll be home. And she said, I will wait on you. I don't want nobody else to sell me my house because you listen to me when I have problems. But you need to start listening to your own advice, your advice that you give other people. So lo and behold, I got my EIN number this week. I also got registered with the state. And she's going to pay cash for her house. So we're going to close today at 3:00.
Okay, listen.
Can we come off mute and say yay,
Listen,
please?
come off mute.
Please,
Come on.
please.
Come off mute. Let's go.
Yes.
Come
Go!
Oh,
That is
so proud, Miss
amazing.
Irene. Oh,
Congratulations.
that is so awesome.
Close my mouth.
Yes, man.
Yes, girl.
She also surprised me because she called me this morning and she said, I also want you to sell the house that I'm living in as soon as we move. So, it's just a blessing.
What I love so much about Irene's story is that she was prioritizing the people pillar. And yet this opportunity came and aligned itself perfectly with the work that she was already doing. At Purpose to Platform, one of my biggest lessons for the ladies is just to understand that when you are in alignment with your purpose, there is no need to force, there's no need to fake, there's no need to manipulate. What we teach is how to surrender to the process, surrender to what is already yours, and stop trying to force and make things happen. In my own journey, people have asked me for so many years, how did you get this connection? How did you get on that stage? How did you get this opportunity? And they are surprised when I say over and over again, it wasn't because I pitched myself. I don't have an email template to give you. I don't have some script to share with you. The truth is, I prioritize so many other areas of my life through using the redefining wealth pillars, and everything has aligned just as it should. And honestly, I don't want it to sound like some hokey pokey thing. I don't want it to sound like it's not tangible for others. One of the reasons I wanted to highlight these women on this podcast is to show that none of these things are just happening to me. It's not about you being special. It's not about you being unique. It's not about you being different. It's about you honoring the process. And Irene's ability to stay in alignment with what she was being called to do, with honoring her family relationships, her people pillar, and with giving God something to bless with the things that she could do, completely set her up to walk straight into an opportunity all aligned with her purpose. Now, another consideration when you are stepping into purpose is to understand who your audience is and the fact that your audience may not always be who you think it's going to be. I want you to listen in to Vernell's story.
So I just want to share a story of how God knows what you need before you know that you need it. And so this past weekend, Ashley we had a conversation, and can I tell you guys that she swept the floor with the prayer. She sopped it up like it was a biscuit. And one of the things that she prayed for me was for endurance and perseverance. And steadfastness. And what she didn't know, and I told her this, was that I had been growing really weary, exhausted. I've just been so tired about, not just P2P, but the book, and getting the book out there. And the goal for me has really been not about making the money, because my money is fine. It's been more about getting God's word out there. And the prayer was so helpful. And then Coach Brittany also reinforced some things that Ashley had talked about as well, because immediately after that, resistance started to come. And I just felt like saying, forget it. I'm getting ready to snatch this book back. I'm about to take it off of Amazon. That was what I wanted to do. But I felt like God wanted me to keep pressing through it. And so then the other day, one of my sorority sisters had called and said, hey, I just want to tell you how proud I am of you about this book. And I'm wondering if you can donate a few. And I was like, well, she said she was having an event. I said, sure, I'm happy to. How many do you need? She said about 30. I said, well, how many VIPs do you have so I can send it just for the VIPs? And so we talked about 7 books. And so then I just said, hey, where do you want me to send them? And she said, well, let me tell you a little bit about the event. And I said, well, it's fine. Whatever you need, it's not that big of a deal. You don't have to share. She said, well, I really want to get your book in the hands of some influencers. And I said, oh, that's great. And, just kind of downplayed it. And she said, oh, I don't know if you know. She says, but, and I've never followed this person. So she said, oh, do you know, I've heard her name before. And she said, oh, she has this group of women and I want you to come and speak about your book. We're going to meet in Las Vegas. And I was like, it's COVID. Y'all meet in Las Vegas. And she said, yeah, so you could take a picture with her and she could take a picture with your book. And I was like, Jesus, is this you? Am I supposed to, I was going to donate the books, but I'm like, am I supposed to go to Vegas? But it's just one of the things I feel like that I have been praying about with God, which is, Lord, this is your book. You put it into the hands of whomever you want to put this book in their hands. And it doesn't have to be people who are living right and who are following you the way that other people think that they should. And I don't know who her followers are, but I was like, Lord, if this is you, I thank you yet again, because I would have never thought about anything like that. I was going to send my book to Sarah J. Roberts and call it a day and be like, be blessed by this, pray that you read it. But I never thought about sending it out to other people. So that was just something that I just wanted to thank God for. And I just wanted to be, to say that I'm thankful for this community, for people who have just shown up and been praying for me. And I really appreciate that. So that's what I wanted to share.
I love that so much. I love that Vernell's story illustrates the fact that, again, we may think that we need to meet someone in particular, or that our audience is going to be somebody in particular, and yet God may have a completely different plan. And Vernell's story illustrates everything that we've talked about today. She was met with resistance, yet she kept going. She was in alignment because she was willing to give to her sorority sister, even though she didn't understand the context of what she was giving or where she was giving. She was just obedient in the fact that the next best step would be to donate or to give those 7 books. And the audience was not who she thought it would be, but look at what's possible, the room that she can be in, you know, how far that can go. The influencer that she's talking about has millions and millions of followers. And yet this is not even something that she could have prayed for specifically. There's no way she would have named this person by name, but God will use whoever he wants in order to bless us, but we have to continue to give God something to bless. And what I hope you just take away from all of these stories is that, yes, things are going to happen, but as you step into purpose, you have to already have a plan, a routine for how you want to move through resistance. Do you have people that will pray for you? Do you have community that will encourage you? Do you have your own steps that you will take to deal with resistance? Because just because you're in purpose, it doesn't mean that everything is going to go perfectly. That's what you have to understand and know. Just because you are stepping into purpose, you are living your life's purpose, it would be foolish to assume that now everything will be perfect. Resistance is a part of this journey. And yet we have to remain confident in our gifts, in our skill, in our talent, confident in this is what we have been called to do, confident in knowing that our job is to just take the next best step, not know all the steps, but take the next best step at that moment. And taking that next best step will typically put us in alignment with who we're supposed to meet, what opportunities we're supposed to have, the email that we might get that changes everything, the introduction that we may have that'll change everything. And connect us to the right audience. Not always the audience that we flesh out on our own, not always the influencer that we think we should be connected to, not always the folks that we may think we're best suited to help. The truth is, God may have an entirely different audience ready and willing and able to work with you, to hire you, to be a part of your team. You just never know who the true audience is. So the beauty of Purpose to Platform is having community that can encourage you through all of this. I think you noticed a couple times in this episode, other names thrown out there: Marsha Ann, Ashley, Courage. What I love about our community is that we step in to remind each other of these things. We step in and offer prayers and words of encouragement and virtual hugs, because this is not a journey that should be done alone. We talked about it earlier in this season, but greatness is not created in isolation. You need support. You need accountability. You need community, but most importantly, you need people who are also on their own journey of chasing purpose, and they understand what it feels like and what it looks like to be discouraged, to get overwhelmed sometimes, to not know what to say, what to propose, what to do when you get hit with some information. And Purpose to Platform has been such a blessing to me personally to watch how these women have come together to support each other through every piece of this. So I don't know who you are. I don't know what you've been called to do, but I know that you need community. And I would love for you to join us for the Created for Purpose Challenge. It kicks off December 7th. And in that group, you will be able to meet some of these phenomenal women You'll probably be able to finally put a picture or a face to their voices, but you'll be able to meet these women and truly have a 5-day experience where I get to go so much deeper into different elements that will allow you to continue to walk in purpose. We've scratched the surface, but the challenge is where I get to give you some homework, where I get to give you some self-reflection exercises so you can make this real in your own life, so that you can add my wisdom with your purpose and truly give God something to bless. Join us for the Creative for Purpose Challenge. You can find out more details at patricewashington.com/challenge. That's patricewashington.com/challenge. We would love to have you, and we would love to serve you. This is Patrice Washington, and you're listening to the Purpose to Platform podcast, where we share stories of women who are using their God-given gifts to chase purpose and create influence, impact, and income with integrity.